It's time to tune into. It's time to get hungry for. Let's talk wrestling on the Spinning Heel Kick podcast. It's time to tune into. It's time to get hungry for. Let's talk wrestling on the Spinning Heel Kick podcast.
Another week of the Spinning Heel Kick podcast. I'm your host, AJ, and this week is very, very special to me. This podcast that was recorded is very special to me on a personal level. This week I have the newly crowned Global Force Wrestling Tag Team Champions of the World, the Bollywood Boyz. And for obvious reasons, this is very special to me because myself and the Bollywood Boyz share the same ethnicity. We come from the same cultural background. We're Indian and Punjabi at that. So Punjabi is a state in India, and we come from the same place. So this was very special to me because growing up as a kid, especially a wrestling fan, I used to watch Monday Night Raw. I used to watch Nitro, SmackDown, like any type of wrestling promotion. I was watching it, but I would watch the Stone Colds, the Rocks, the Triple H's, all these different wrestlers. But I always looked at, television and the wrestling shows and say, like, why isn't there anybody that's Indian wrestling right now? Why isn't there somebody that looks like me that's out there wrestling? And I always thought that too. I did catch the end of Tiger Ali Singh being a part of the WWE, but he had this comedic gimmick, so it wasn't like he was taken seriously. A few years later after that, we had the Great Khali come in, and I was just like, man, this is it. This is going to be our champion. And he did become world champion, but he lost the title pretty quickly. And soon after that, it didn't work out well with the gimmicks and the storylines. And, lo and behold, he was teaming up with Hornswoggle and Natalia and the comedic gimmick that was very, relatable to the oddities that was part of the Attitude Era. A few other pro wrestlers that are Indian. Sanjay Dutt, who spent a lot of time in TNA, he did really well for himself. He became an X Division champion. He had a great feud with Jay Lethal that was over SoCal Val. I thought he was always solid. I thought he would have been great to be a part of the WWE and team up with Great Khali. I just felt like those two would have been a match made in heaven. I don't know if there was ever any talks about making it happen, but I know that's something I feel like the WWE missed the boat on, because Dutt would have been the perfect match for Khali to be a productive tag team in the world of pro wrestling. And then we come across Jinder Mahal. And I'm like, Jinder Mahal, this is it. This is going to be our guy. This is going to be the Indian world champion. And, right away they throw him with Great Khali, which is expected. Didn't turn out the way I thought it would be, heading towards. And then soon after that, he, once again, comedic. He's a part of the three-man band. And then he's released. So, Indian pro wrestlers have not had a pretty good trend, I would say, in the mainstream promotions like the WWE or the WCWs. I don't even think there was an Indian wrestler in WCW. But, we've come across a time to now we're watching the Bollywood Boyz. When I saw the Bollywood Boyz, straight off from the name, I was just like, man, I hope these guys don't get stuck with the comedic gimmick. I hope they don't get stuck being stereotyped. I just hope they don't get stuck at all, because they're so talented in the ring. And they proved me wrong. They've really made the gimmick work. They come out and they do the traditional dance, but it's like they're having fun with it. They're playing with it. The minute they step into the ring, it's completely different ball game. They're serious. They're doing their job. They're doing whatever it takes to win the match. And that's what changes everything. And for the fact that Jeff Jarrett believes in these guys to put the tag team titles around them, the first GFW tag team championships, that's a huge deal. And I'm so proud of these guys for being able to take it to that step where they're being looked at as credible, reliable, and, having the most potential of being tag team champions of the world. And, this is just the start. They're going to take this and run with it, and I can't even predict how far they can go, because that's how much potential they have to become great. And it was an awesome time talking to them. We come from similar backgrounds, and I can relate to them quite a lot. And we'll mention that in the podcast as well. Is that growing up, especially growing up Indian, you're expected to be a certain way, or you're predicted to become a certain, go down a certain career path or go to school. The Bollywood Boyz, did it differently. Did it differently than most other Indians, and that's super cool for me to see. And I kind of went down the same path as the Bollywood Boyz did, and it kind of teaches the younger generations as well, whether it's Indians or just other races, that no matter what, you can do whatever you want, as a career or just in general. Just make sure you work hard for it and just be hungry and motivated, as I always mention in the podcast. And that's something the Bollywood Boyz had agreed with me as well during our talk, is that, don't let anything hold you back from wanting to achieve something. The only person that should hold you back is you, and you should even let that happen. So make sure you just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and you'll get to where you want to be. Trying to fight for your dreams is priceless. You just got to put in that work to make it happen. And I hope you guys learned that from listening to my conversation with the Bollywood Boyz. They're super cool, super humble, very genuine with the way they talk. You can tell that they're really great folks outside of the ring. And it was my pleasure to be able to talk to them and talk wrestling and talk about our cultural background. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Spinning Heel Kick Pod. Instagram is at the Spinning Heel Kick Podcast. Facebook page is the Spinning Heel Kick Podcast. And always, you can check out my previous episodes on SoundCloud.com / the Spinning Heel Kick Podcast. So enjoy, guys. So we're on with the Spinning Heel Kick Podcast, and I got a very, very special two folks on my podcast that, this episode is going to mean a lot personally and professionally. I got the Bollywood Boyz in the building. How you guys doing, man?
Good, man. You're doing good, man. What's up, bro? For having us.
Man, so this episode is real special because I myself, and I know with you guys too, growing up, I never saw pro wrestlers that were Indians ever. I mean, I caught the end of Tiger Ali Singh in the Attitude Era, and then Great Khali came a little longs after that. But, when I first saw you guys, I was just like, dude, these guys have it. Like, they're about to take over. And I'm proud to say that I'm talking to the first Global Force Wrestling Tag Team Champions. How does that feel, guys?
Sounds pretty good, bro. Thank you so much for having us. Like you said, and we're just honored to be on here. And being told that we're the first ever GFW Tag Team Champs sounds pretty good. Yeah, no, it's been an exciting few weeks, man. Just soaking it all in and doing stuff like this. Doing podcasts and getting the word out. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely, and it means a lot for me to have you guys on. So how was that feeling, man? Just being able to say that you're the first tag team champions of a promotion, and this is a large promotion that I think is going to start catching on, especially with Jeff Jarrett being the owner. How does that feel taking those titles? I saw I saw the Instagram picture of you guys giving it to your mom and dad. Like, what was that?
No, I mean, stuff like that. Like being the first. There's only a few firsts in this world. Like, I think in one of the interviews we talked about like first Stanley Cup champions or the first ever Super Bowl winners. And it's like being the first ever GFW tag team champions. You're in an elite class. You're in history forever. It's like, in many ways, what we started out 10 years to accomplish, we did it. You kind of like, you made it. And so anything we do going forward is like just cream on top. And just, adding to that point is, here's the thing. I mean, whenever you're a champion of any sort in any form of professional wrestling, that means the promoter has total belief and faith in you. So obviously Jeff has that faith in us to carry the company and to take it to the next level and to take it where he wants to see GFW eventually get to. With also that being said, going back to you making that reference about the picture of our parents with the tag team titles, and that's as real as it gets in professional wrestling. And that's what Global Force Wrestling is all about. It's a realism. It's telling stories, real life stories, nothing scripted. Like that moment with our parents was as real as it gets. That's something that we've worked 10 years for, because they've had our back since day one, and anything, whether it's ice hockey, growing up in Canada, taekwondo, and, not professional wrestling, we will owe a lot to them. And that's one story we wanted to make sure we get out there, that how, our parents have had our back since day one.
Yeah, and I think that's great, especially like growing up as Indians, as the three of us are.
Yeah.
Most parents, push their kids to be, doctors and engineers, things of those sorts. When you guys were growing up, like, how did it feel, or what was your parents' reaction when you told them, like, we want to be pro wrestlers?
Honestly, our parents were so good. They're so supportive. They never said do this or go to college, or they're like they realized since we were kids we'd be wrestling, in the basement and the living room and stuff like that. So we kind of grew up with it, and they kind of when I graduated from high school, when I got my diploma, when I walked on stage, they're like, this guy's going to become a world wrestling champion one day, So it's like they kind of knew, okay, once we both graduate, that we're going to head down this path. Yeah, there's never any pressure whatsoever, ever. Like, I remember even as kids, like I mentioned earlier, when we used to play hockey, like, okay, I want to make it to the NHL as a kid, so okay, we'll take you to the hockey practices or whatever have you, they never killed their dreams before they even started, you know what I'm saying? So that's a very important thing. I think a lot of, obviously, I think in the Indian culture, a lot of young generation face that problem with, okay, I got to, like you mentioned, you got to be a doctor, you got to be an engineer, you got to go to school, which is all great. I mean, no matter what your dream or focus is, you got to get 100%. Make sure they always helps out when your folks have your back.
Yeah, absolutely. My parents were the same way too. So I have an interesting situation. Well, not a situation, but like an upbringing. My mom was actually born and raised in the United States. She's Indian as well. But, obviously arranged marriage with my dad, who came from Punjab. So, like, I grew up, being Americanized, but still being Punjabi too, and having the tradition and culture effect on me. So that was very interesting. And the funny, we were talking about, are we going to speak Punjabi on the podcast, dude? I have the worst Punjabi ever, man. So broken, like it's legit ABCD style, man.
We'll be teaching you soon, I guess. That'll be the next podcast.
Maybe a little training session on how to speak perfect Punjabi.
That's all good, bro.
So growing up, man, what brought you, or what caught your attention with pro wrestling?
I think it's as simple as anybody else. Like, I know it sounds somewhat cliche, but it was just like, it was the coolest thing to see on television. Let's be honest. Like, it was like watching Batman, but, the characters were real. It's like Ric Flair. You could actually touch Ric Flair. You could actually touch Bret Hart. With Batman, he's not real. The wrestling superheroes, they're real. And I just, as a young boy growing up, to have that, male influence, it's just amazing. It kind of dictates the rest of your life in many ways. But yeah, wrestling also bonded us as a family too. Like going back to us, with the parents and everything. Like, watching wrestling on Saturday afternoons, Monday Night Raws, or what have you. That's what kept me and Harv close too. Just watching wrestling, having that bond, that something to talk about on Tuesday after watching Raw, the previous night. It's just something we grew up watching. Obsessed is not even a word to describe what we went through as kids with wrestling, just like anybody else. It was all we watched, it was all we wanted, and it was all we really needed, man. Like, all our drugs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, when most kids were probably out going to high school dances, we were probably watching wrestling tapes.
That's pretty awesome. Our childhoods kind of relate to each other very well. Are you guys twin brothers, or you guys have age difference?
Oh no, I'm 3 years older, Griff. Harv's 20. Actually, turning 28 in a few hours here.
Oh wow! No wonder we were trying to make this happen quick, man.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we got 3 years difference between the two of us. Yeah, that's funny you say we're twins, because we actually look nothing alike. Yeah, like when people always like, you guys are brothers, like we don't, it's like the Hardys or whatever. They kind of look the same.
Yeah.
My brother, we don't look anything alike, which is, I think, going to be great going in the future or whatever. But we have our own unique look, and that's why I think the Bollywood Boyz work, because we're so different that when we come together, we kind of help each other out. Extenuate both of our strengths.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't realize your guys' body structure is the same. Like, you guys
for the most part, I mean, big genes, bro.
I think one of you guys is a little bit bigger, but height-wise the same, right?
No. I mean, coming from, again, like, most of us East Indians, our parents aren't the most well-built people in the world. So we had to face that dilemma too starting out. But hey, here we are, brother.
It's all the butter chicken we eat, man.
Oh yeah, man, butter chicken with naan.
Dude, I saw the hashtag butter chicken.
Yeah.
Because you guys were using the gimmick or throwing that out there, and man, I saw so many like Americans hashtagging butter chicken. Man,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, awesome, dude. That thing started out of nowhere. To be honest, like we were working as heels out here on the out in Canada, here on the BC Alberta area, and we would go out as heels, and the fans would just chant butter chicken at us, kind of like a derogatory thing. Yeah, but instead of like getting mad about it, we embraced it almost, and it just kind of turned it into faces, and then like if you go on YouTube and look at some of our recent matches. It's just you don't watch the match, just watch the crowd. And that's the one thing that I think really got us to this is the crowd so into it with the butter chicken chant. It's organic. It wasn't forced. It wasn't like we sat in the back and said, let's go out there and start chanting butter. Fans, some wrestlers come out, they'll start a chant. Yeah. We didn't need to start a chant. We didn't need to get them to clap. Nothing. It was just like organic, right? So hopefully it'll pick up here in the States, but let it happen organically.
Yeah, absolutely. And dude, I popped hard when I saw the hashtags come through. I was like,
butter chicken, ass chicken.
Absolutely. That's a t-shirt right there, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
So once you graduated high school and you guys are like, it's wrestling, that's it. Like, that's all I want to do. Like, what got you, where did you train? What got you to the point where, we're going to make this official. I'm going to start doing this for real.
Yeah, no, myself, Garrett here, once I graduated high school, I pretty much went down to Calgary in the summer of 2004 and started with the Hart family out there. Trained under Bruce Hart for a couple of months. This is just before the tail end of them selling the house up in Calgary. So I got to spend a couple of months there training with Bruce, TJ, Harry, Nattie, Neidhart. So, it was pretty cool to be just down there and having that experience of rolling around the matches, some of the greats of all time, like who's who of professional wrestling has been down there. So, got my start down there, came back to Vancouver not too long after that, and that's when Hart just finished up high school as well. And we started training together with ECCW out here in Vancouver, and it was under Michelle Starr, gorgeous Michelle Starr, Scotty Mack, Vance Nevada at that time, who's now retired. And man, just took off from there. And we pretty much started here training at the ECW school at the same time. And I guess you could say, not that you really graduate ever in professional wrestling, but we finished school at the same time and took it from there.
Oh, that's great. I mean, what better place in Canada to start with than, the Harts?
Yeah, man, I was very lucky and fortunate with that, man. It was like I said, they were just in the midst of selling the house, and sent a letter to Bruce, and he's like, yeah, send me this much, and next thing you know, I'm packing up my stuff in the summer of 2004, and off I go. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's definitely an experience that most wrestlers wish they had, but that's awesome that you got to go through that, and then you train with guys that are on the roster right now, or Harry's doing big things in Japan, and TJ obviously is hurt right now, but he was doing big things before getting hurt.
Yeah,
so that's really great. So from East,
I took my first bump from TJ Wilson.
Wow, and I think the world of TJ, man. I think he's very underrated.
Yeah, he's an amazing performer. Hopefully, we know he'll recover soon, but hopefully he'll be back on TV doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you went from ECCW, and then RingKaKing just ends up, Jeff Jarrett ends up calling you guys, or what was the connection there?
I mean, there was a long gap of we traveled a lot for about a good 5 years. I would say 4 years. We covered, if you look at Canada on the map, it's the second largest landmass, and it's not like you're driving 5-6 hours. You're driving 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 hours to get to one show to another. So that's what we did for a few years. We were going coast to coast in Canada. I mean, just to put in perspective, the longest ride we've ever done is 74 hours in one sitting. So imagine that being in a truck, and we did the Tony Condello Hell Tour, the one that Edge and Christian and Chris Jericho, all these guys talked about. We did those where you go up north and you basically starve. You drive on frozen lakes and you sleep in the gymnasiums where you wrestle, and you go back and you do that for 3 weeks. And we did those and kind of build up a little, a local buzz about us in Canada. And somewhere along the line, we started sending in promo packages to both WWE and TNA. And that's kind of where Jeff called my brother. Yeah, I mean, again, going back to what Harv was saying, before even RingKaKing came up in 2011, we were wrestling coast to coast all over Canada, and not only that, but going to wrestling camps in St. Louis with Harley Race, training under Trevor Murdoch at that time, and then being Rip Rogers camps in Louisville, Kentucky, the SCW camps back when they had it down there, Florida Championship Wrestling under Steve Kerr. So yeah, we were like really hustling and just getting our face seen wherever possible and just learning from as many people as you can because that's how you grow in this business. So at the same time, every camp you go to, every school you go to, what do they tell you? How do you land jobs? You got to get yourself out there. You got to network, connect with people. So we were sending out DVD packages and promo pictures to WWE, TNA, everywhere we possibly can to get work. And obviously, a lot of the times it just falls on deaf ears, or sometimes you're very lucky and people will get back to you and, at least they'll tell you, hey, you're not ready yet or what have you. But once 2011 came up, summer of 2011, walking out of Gold's Gym, got a call from Jeff Jarrett saying, hey, listen, I saw your guys' stuff here. Don't know much about you, but you guys look like you guys could be brought down for a project that he was working on called RingKaKing, obviously. And one thing led to another. Next thing you know, we're getting our visas done and flying out to Mumbai, India to tape 2 seasons of RingKaKing. Sorry, make that 1 season of RingKaKing, but 2 trips.
How was that feeling performing in India, man? Like, have you guys gone before, just like family trips and such?
It's weird. I actually had spent time. I do quite a bit of acting work, and so
I did hear about that Akshay Kumar movie, right?
Yeah, and that's I was going to segue into. I just worked with Akshay Kumar. I have a few other projects that are tentatively in the pipeline. But so acting kind of played a big part. I trained with Anupam Kher, who is I'm not sure who he is, but he's a very prominent Bollywood film actor. He was in Silver Linings Playbook, Bend It Like Beckham. So he's that character actor that all gets called on. I did his acting school, and I ended up in Mumbai. And so I had a stint in Mumbai. I kind of knew what the Indian audience wanted as far as wrestling goes because I lived there. And so when we got a chance to go back as performers, we knew what it would take to connect with the Indian audience because there was other Indian wrestlers there, and they were, let's be honest, a lot bigger than us. But I knew with both my brother and I, the charisma and the chemistry we had, that was going to take us to the top. And I don't think they had plans for us initially. I might be wrong, but I don't think they did. But when the last tapings happened, they put us over on Steiner and Abyss. So it kind of goes to show you that whatever we did was probably pretty okay. Yeah, I mean, also keep in mind that we were the only non TNA or WWE talent, ex-WWE or TNA talent that was on that roster as far as Indian wrestlers with experience go. So, we had a bit of a chip on our shoulders. We didn't want to just be like one of those guys that were brought down because of being Indian. So we're like, man, we have to deliver here and really stand out and, go balls to the wall here. So we were basically, just like, okay, let's just go up there and give it our all. And going back to what you were saying as far as India goes, no, we've been to India many times before that too. We got lots of family there, grandfathers in Punjab, our uncles and everybody. So our family all were pretty much India. But it was great to be out there and holding, our arms up, going over a bit and Steiner. That was one of the greatest feelings ever.
And obviously you got huge baby faces in India, right?
Of course, yeah.
So like that, being able to get put over on those guys who are legit, American stars, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing feeling. I mean, obviously Scott Steiner is a guy who's, he's done it all, world champion and just being able to have our hands raised in India, in our home country, international tag team champions. And it was the best feeling. The best thing about the whole, Jeff actually took a gamble on us, right? And like I said, he hadn't seen us, hadn't met us until we got to India. So for him to take that chance on us, and we've developed probably the best friendship we possibly could in professionally. He's more of a mentor to us than anything else. Somebody that believes in our work, and how he refers to us as the Indian Midnight Rockers, right? Rock and Roll Express. So that's amazing compliment.
How was your interaction? This is just me being curious. How was your interaction with the other Indian wrestlers during the RingKaKing? Were they kind of like jealous towards you guys because you guys probably had more exposure out in Canada and American somewhat, or did everybody get along pretty well?
No, I don't think there's any jealousy. They showed a lot of respect to us because they knew that we were the only experienced Indian wrestlers on that roster. So a lot of the times, they would come to us for advice or help, and we would be training them with Sanjay or Jimmy Wave before the shows would even start early in the day. So no, there was no jealousy. I think a lot of them probably thought it was going to be a walk in the park, and they didn't really understand the concept of putting a match together or the psychology. So that was probably the only challenge. Well, besides being really green, but for the most part, a lot of them were pretty upfront and honest about everything with us and showed us a lot of respect. Because, like I said, they would come to us for any advice and feedback.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that because you hear some stories sometimes about like other wrestlers hating on other wrestlers and like sometimes there's people that don't like to see their own become successful.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there was any of that, I mean, we weren't aware of it, and like I said, nobody showed it to us. Like, everybody was very open, very honest, and pretty much nice to us. So we didn't face any problems.
No, that's super good to have that. So
yeah.
I want to touch on like Indian pro wrestlers. Like, how did you guys feel like growing up watching Raw and watching SmackDown or WCW, ECW, and not seeing somebody that looked like us winning championship titles? And if you did see an Indian pro wrestler, it's usually a comedic gimmick.
Yeah, that's crazy you bring that up because we made a very conscious effort when we started to be different. And I would gotta tip the hat to the late, great Eddie Guerrero on this because the Bollywood Boyz character is very much Los Guerreros.
Yep.
If you look back, it's that, we're ethnic guys, but we're having fun. We're playing up the stereotypes, but they're not derogatory. So that's a little cat out of the bag. That's how we came up with the gimmick. We looked at the Los Guerreros and we're like, we need to do that with the Indian community. And so that was a very conscious effort, to have a gimmick that's one is us. Like I do work in Bollywood, so it's not too far fetched, right? So it was a very conscious effort to come up with gimmicks and characters that weren't comedic, that weren't the stereotypical turban and the sword, were contemporary and was something new and something people could be proud of. And not only that, but like Bollywood, just in general, so popular right now. Everybody knows about Bollywood. You can ask anybody about it, whether it's in Canada or anywhere in the States. People know what Bollywood is. They see the dancing, the singing, the color, the charisma, the personality stands out. So the thing is, keep in mind, man, I don't think anybody else out there could do the gimmick that we do. It's not even really a gimmick harvest thing. It's close to who we are. We grew up watching Bollywood films, so it's natural. It comes naturally to us. It's not forced. So you're not like seeing us going out there trying to force ourselves to have fun or have that personality come out. It is who we are, man. And, we are the Bollywood Boyz 24/7.
Exactly. That's the easiest gimmick that you guys are just being you.
Exactly.
Before every podcast, obviously I like to do research on the folks that I'm interviewing. And I was watching YouTube videos of your matches. I think they were pretty recent, where it was at ECCW, and you guys were going against Jeff Jarrett and I forgot it was Nelson. The tag team name was
Nelson Creed.
Nelson Creed. And I saw you guys' entrance, and I was like, "This is perfect," because you guys are playing around with the culture. But when you're in the ring, you guys are serious, man. You guys are kicking ass.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like, we actually did some work with Tiger Ali Singh last year in Toronto, and his father, Tiger Jeet Singh, the legendary Tiger Jeet Singh. And, that's the one thing they told us too. They were like, hey, man, what you guys do is great. Like, your personality, charisma, but once that bell rings, keep in mind, like, you got to get let that Punjabi blood boil. You know what I'm saying? That, Shawn Michaels is a great example of that. Like, he probably has one of the greatest entrances ever. But when the bell rings, he's all business.
Yeah, and I saw Gurv do a bhangra around the ring, dude. I popped so hard.
Hey, man. Bhangra, man. That's how we roll, bro.
Dude, and it's funny because I was watching the fans because that was my interest was in the fans and see how they reacted to you guys. And they were going along, man. They were dancing and, having fun and cheering you guys on.
Oh yeah, no, the fans get really into it. They love it, especially the non-Indians. They like the non-East Indian fans that come out to the wrestling show. They get so caught up in it. It's amazing that the Bollywood Boyz character, if you want to call it, or the gimmick, whatever you want to call it, can cross over to so many people, ethnicities, right? So everyone gets into it. Everybody gets it. It's simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever feel like the culture kind of brought on struggles and sacrifices that you had to make during this journey of your career in pro wrestling so far? And if it hasn't been, like, what has been some, sacrifices?
I think being, like, the cultural thing has helped us. Being Indian has helped us a lot. I think the hardest thing has been being Canadian, if anything, because it's as simple as getting to the States is the hardest for us. And the money and all the big companies are in the States. All the tryouts happen in the States. So, I mean, I've even heard Bret Hart say on numerous occasions where it's like Canadian wrestlers have to work the hardest, and because it just takes us so much longer to make it down south. And so that's been the biggest, for me personally, I think Gurv can agree on that. It's just getting the notice part, right? Because we are in such a, we're obviously in Western Canada and just trying to stand out from where we are. I think we've done an amazing job for being where we are and to where, obviously the opportunities we've had now and where we are today. I was going to be proud of both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a whole community that's backing you guys up. And, I don't like just having to focus on the Indian community because I feel like you guys have so many other fans.
Oh yeah, no, we got, like I said, like we go to shows, man. Like all the non-Indian wrestling fans, they're the ones who are the loudest. To be honest with you, man.
I believe it, man, and it's picking up steam, especially after you guys' recent win of the tag team titles. So you went from RingKaKing, and then you guys did some indies in between before GFW came calling, which I'm sure they did right away because of your relationship with Jared.
Yeah, I mean, this was to be honest, like this was a 2-year process. Like pretty much when Jeff made the first few teaser announcements, we were told we were on standby. So just like everybody, we were part of the whole process and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's really cool to actually in today's day and age. Nowadays, if you go to a company, you're just part of a big system. And you just fit into it and you do kind of what you're told. But to be part of up and coming company and see the business side of things and really be hands on and see how a wrestling company in 2015 goes from something on paper to at the Orleans, TV taping, that's pretty cool. And being a part of that, that's some knowledge that you gain. You can't just, you can't teach that to anyone. So that's the best thing that's come out of this.
That's great to hear too. So is there a comparison? Do you guys feel like, you mentioned Jeff Jarrett saying you guys are like the Midnight Express what do you
Rock and Roll
Express? What do you guys see yourself as when you guys were kids thinking about being a tag team? If you did think about being a tag team, and who were you guys comparing to, or who did you guys want to relate your style to?
Well, we took a little bit of something from everyone. Like for us, the two biggest, I mean, goes without saying. If you look at our gear, it's the Heart Foundation and the Rockers. Those were the two tag teams that we grew up watching and we're just in awe of. So definitely Rockers and Heart Foundation. As you get into the business, you start studying more tapes. You pick up things from like the tag teams like the Hollywood Blondes or Tully and R, the Midnight Rockers, the Rock and Roll Express, all these amazing tag teams that have come and gone. So that's how you become what you are today, is by taking a little something from everyone and making your own. I remember I did a tour with Honky Tonk Man when I first started. I was 18, and I got a chance to wrestle Honky at one of the shows. Now it's like I was a nervous wreck. But I'll never forget what Honky told me. He was like, picture who you saw on TV as a kid and try to be that. Because I think what happens is when you start getting into wrestling, you kind of lose that childhood innocence of what made you as a pro wrestler. But Honky was like, don't get caught up in that. Imagine when you were 6 years old, remember the guy that you saw and you wanted to be like from. And that's really helped us. And, it's easy to get there. I want to be like this guy. I want to do these moves and I want to do that. But what brings you to the dance is the guys that you grew up watching.
Yeah, I've met Honky Tonk Man a few times. He's a character, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's full of knowledge. Yeah.
You mentioned Jeff Jarrett as your biggest supporter. Going forward with GFW, do you guys feel like you guys will be there long term? And is that your future goals that you set for yourself, is like taking over GFW and putting it on the map?
Right now, our goal is just to make GFW the best professional wrestling company that it could possibly be. And we, on a personal level, just want to be the absolute best we can possibly be, for Global Force Wrestling and represent Global Force Wrestling as much as possible wherever and whenever. We want to be the best tag team in Global Force Wrestling. There's a reason we got this tag team belts, not just for any reason. We truly believe that we are the best tag team on that roster. Yeah, I agree with Gerb. I mean, honestly, I feel like Global Force Wrestling, that's like, as much as it's Jeff's child, I feel like we're very much connected because we were sorry. From everyone on that roster, it's like, this is our company, this is our little thing, and we want to make this work. And he's got so many alliances with so many different countries around the world, Japan, Mexico, Europe. And so it is a global company. And it's like, man, our heart, our soul, everything 24/7. It's like, when we get to Global Force, what do we do? Now that we're champions, how do we, take it to the next level? Exactly. And, how do we, continue to become the best, or, continue to further better ourselves and continue to become the best tag team possible.
That's awesome. So when I created this podcast, I had two things I wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on wrestlers that I believe should get much more shine than a lot of wrestlers on TV are getting. But the second reason was because I felt like our generation, or like the generation that are a little bit younger than I am, they lack motivation to reach their dreams. Like, they always get, slammed with something and they just get stuck and they leave it alone and never go back to it. So a lot of two words that I use a lot with my podcast is saying hungry and motivated. So always stay hungry and motivated to reach your dreams because it's possible. Like, you can always make it happen. What's some of the advice that you can give to listeners out there who want to be pro wrestlers, and for the younger generations that might not want to be a pro wrestler, but they have other career goals that they want to achieve?
You're talking to two guys that are under 6 feet tall who are right now, living, breathing proof that if you believe in your dreams, anything's possible. I mean, we were written off probably many years ago when we were first starting out, just not being over 200 pounds and being under 6 feet tall. And man, I can't tell you how many times we've talked about, just not giving up and truly believing in this. And man, the energy you put out, the energy you're going to get back. Yeah, no, I agree, honestly. Like, for any kid out there with any dream, not just professional wrestling, it sounds cliched, but you got to go for it. Like, who knows if this is the one life we have to live? And so if that's the case, you want to put, give it your all towards the one thing you would love to do for the rest of your life, as opposed to doing a job that you hate for the rest of your life. And so that's the way I see it. The best thing about dreams, they're free, they're priceless. They don't cost anything. You just gotta work really hard, and that's not a slogan. That's not cliche. You just gotta work really, really hard, and it will get to a certain level. If you give up, you pretty much kill your dreams before you begin. If you already give up, so you gotta stay hungry, like you said. You gotta stay hungry. You gotta stay motivated, and you gotta use that whatever negative energy people give to you as a motivation.
I completely agree with all of that. And this is why the Bollywood Boyz are becoming my favorite tag team. Not just because of the cultural similarity, just because of the type of people they are. It was really great to have you guys on the podcast. Like I said, it means a lot to have you guys on because, kids that are young right now who are just like us, that are fans of pro wrestling, they get to see you guys do their thing in the ring and say, one day I could be that no matter what race I am. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me and talk pro wrestling and your career.
No, thank you for having us. And hey, best of luck to you with your podcast. You're starting out something cool. You guys are the ones that keep us doing what we're doing, get the word out for Global Force Wrestling, the Bollywood Boyz. So all the best to you, and keep rocking it, man. Thank you so much for having us, man. Honestly, again, like my brother just said, couldn't have said it any better. Thank you for having us, and we appreciate it, bro.
I appreciate you guys. Social media, and where can people find the Bollywood Boyz?
Yeah, at Bollywood Boyz for Twitter. And then Facebook fan page would be Bollywood Boyz. That's Boys with a Z. A lot of people confuse it with an S, but it's got to be with a Z because the Hardy Boys were with a Z and our W Boys with a Z. So you gotta keep it with a Z, brother.
Yeah, you guys call it Z? The Z?
What's that?
Isn't it called Z?
That's the Canadian way, I think.
Oh, okay. So Canada says Z, and then we say Z.
Exactly, bro.
They caught me off guard. I was like, whoa. So that. So once again, the Bollywood Boyz, go check them out. GFW Tag Team Champions, and they're going to continue taking on the world.